Metamorphic rocks are one of the three major rock types and include a variety of rocks and minerals that are sometimes easy to identify and at other times maddening. I've always had a fascination with these rocks as they typically form under a range of conditions by processes unseen at depth within the earth. In Arizona, metamorphic rocks are exposed in some of the mountain ranges of the Sonoran Desert, in the highlands of central Arizona, and even in the depths of the Grand Canyon. This rock is the Brahma schist at an outcrop in the inner gorge of the Grand Canyon near Phantom Ranch. All rock types, igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic, can undergo changes brought on by different types of metamorphism. The resulting metamorphic rocks yield information about these different metamorphic environments. Thus, metamorphic rocks are a great source of information about conditions and processes that occur within the earth. This is an identification chart for metamorphic rocks and includes the major textures, descriptions, and interpretations of possible protoliths and metamorphic environments. Metamorphic rocks are generally identified by their texture, either foliated or nonfoliated. Distinctive minerals, crystal sizes, and structures can further discriminate between the different rock types. First, we look at the overall texture of the rock. The rock has a foliated texture if there's some kind of planar layering. If not, it is nonfoliated. If the rock is foliated, we next look at the specific type of layering and the size of the crystals in the rock. A rock with slaty cleavage breaks along relatively planar layering, is fine-grained, and is rather dull and doesn't reflect light that well. A rock with folitic cleavage has small parallel wrinkles or crenulations with a shinier luster. Schistosity is a type of foliation formed by layering of larger mica flakes. Gneissic banding is easy to recognize as it is composed of lighter and darker compositional layering. Foliation can progressively develop different forms depending on the rock composition and metamorphic grade. If a rock lacks any significant layering, it is nonfoliated. Then we need to look at its composition, and we can easily do this by testing its hardness and effervescence with the scratch and fizz test, usually with a steel nail and dilute hydrochloric acid. A rock may have a quartz-rich or silica-rich composition if it is hard and not scratched with a steel nail and does not react with hydrochloric acid. On the other hand, a rock may have a calcite-rich composition if it is easily scratched with a steel nail and does react with the hydrochloric acid. Certain types of carbon-rich rocks like coal are soft, black, and shiny. The mineral chlorite gives rocks like greenstone a dull green overall color. Once we've identified a metamorphic rock, we can interpret its origins. Foliated rocks most commonly form from regional or dynamic metamorphism related to tectonic processes. For instance, under increasing pressure and temperature, a mudstone protolith is first transformed into the rock slate. Phyllite and schist are created at higher metamorphic grades, deeper in the crust, with gneiss forming at the highest pressures and temperatures. Slate, phyllite, schist, and gneiss are common types of foliated metamorphic rocks. Mylonite is a special type of foliated metamorphic rock that forms from ductile deformation in deep crustal shear zones. Nonfoliated rocks commonly form from contact metamorphism related to intrusive activity. Again, nonfoliated rocks may also form from regional metamorphism because the protolith lacks enough platy minerals to form any significant foliation. Quartzite is a metamorphosed sandstone, whereas marble forms from a carbonate protolith, like limestone or dolostone. The protolith, or parent rock type, is a metamorphic rock's original composition. Parent rock composition may or may not be obvious to recognize. For instance, slate clearly resembles its mudstone protolith because only limited metamorphism has occurred. However, this is not the case for schist and gneiss, where substantial pressures and temperatures have significantly changed the original rock. This is where other clues are necessary to deduce the protolith's identity. Index minerals like muscovite, garnet, sillimanite, etc. are commonly formed in rocks having protoliths like mudstone. It's time to play Name That Protolith. I will give you a metamorphic rock and you give me its likely protolith. Here we go. A possible protolith for the metamorphic rock quartzite is... That's correct, sandstone, or quartz-arenite, through contact or even regional metamorphism. A possible protolith for the metamorphic rock marble is... Right again, limestone, or dolostone, through contact or even regional metamorphism. A likely protolith for the metamorphic rock schist is, yes, mudstone, through regional metamorphism. A protolith for the metamorphic rock gneiss is, yes, again, mudstone, through regional metamorphism. Oh yes, or granite, also through regional metamorphism. There are different types of gneiss, and sometimes we can distinguish whether it came from a mudstone or from a granitic protolith, and sometimes it's hard to tell. Metamorphic rocks are exposed across Arizona, including in the Phoenix area at Piestewa Peak, where Paleoproterozoic rocks are roughly 1,700 million years old. Here we see some of them. Along the trail are typical schists, and in the summit area there's lots of quartzite, and that's the view off to the northwest. Piestewa Peak is located in the Phoenix Mountains in the city of Phoenix. The popular Summit Trail climbs over 1,200 feet to the top, which has an elevation of 2,610 feet. Numerous metamorphic rock types are exposed in the area, including quartzite, different varieties of phyllite and schist, metarrhylite, greenstone, stretched pebble conglomerate, and more. Metarrhylite tuff and metarrhylite are exposed in the lower slopes, whereas quartzite forms the higher part of the mountain. These Paleoproterozoic rocks are likely 1,700 million years in age. Also in the Phoenix area, metamorphic rocks are exposed in the South Mountains and Sierra Estrella Mountains. Here we see the Estrella gneiss with some small folds, and that's exposed at South Mountain. The image at top left there is of the western end of South Mountain, and at bottom left is a view to the southwest across the Gila River Valley towards the Sierra Estrella. Let's check out the South Mountain Sierra Estrella area. South Mountain is a low northeast trending range located just south of downtown Phoenix. It's a middle tertiary extensional structure known as a metamorphic core complex, where a rapid crustal extension exposed deeper crustal igneous and metamorphic rocks. This extension occurred between 25 and 19 million years ago. The eastern portion of the range is underlain mostly by the South Mountains granodiorite, the Telegraph Pass granite is exposed in the central part, and both are about 25 million years in age. The western part of the range is composed mostly of the Paleoproterozoic Estrella gneiss, roughly 1700 million years in age. And the National Trail follows the ridgeline to the southwest. The Sierra Estrella are a northwest trending mountain range, just to the southwest of South Mountain and south of the city of Phoenix. Coalescing alluvial fans form a bajada that slopes down to the Gila River. The Sierra Estrella are dominantly composed of fairly high-grade metamorphic rocks of Paleoproterozoic age, and include various types of schist and gneiss. Intrusive igneous rocks are exposed at the southeasternmost end of the range. Northeast of Phoenix are the rugged Mazatzal Mountains, largely composed of Paleoproterozoic metasedimentary rocks. The Mazatzal Peak quartzite forms distinctive white cliffs of 4 peaks. A little farther north is a place called Barnhardt Canyon, where we can see white quartzite and reddish-brown slate squeezed into tight chevron folds, and that's the Maverick Formation in Barnhardt Canyon. Here is 4 Peaks, a famous landmark in the southern Mazatzal Mountains, easily seen from Phoenix. The peaks are mainly accessible from the Lone Pine Trailhead to the north. Browns Peak, with an elevation of 7,657 feet, and the other peaks are capped by the extremely resistant Paleoproterozoic Mazatzal Peak quartzite. These rocks overlie older metasedimentary slates, phyllites, and gneisses, and ultimately a number of different types of intrusive rocks below. The peaks are also exposed in an overturned syncline structure. A trail makes its way around the base, with an amethyst mine located between the two southern peaks. In the northern Mazatzal Mountains, Barnhardt Canyon cuts into the range, exposing several Proterozoic metamorphic units and deformational structures. In this area, the Mazatzal group includes the Deadman quartzite, the highly deformed slates and phyllites of the Maverick Formation, and the massive red and white members of the Mazatzal Peak quartzite. These units were deformed during the Mazatzal orogeny, which involved thin-skinned compressional fold and thrust belt tectonics. All sorts of fold and fault structures are exposed related to the main northwest vergent Mazatzal thrust. The Bradshaw Mountains of central Arizona contain a variety of Paleoproterozoic metamorphic rocks and structures. Metamorphic rocks form the lowland beneath the higher Bradshaw Mountains, as viewed from the Sunset Point rest area along I-17. Highly foliated schist in the Shylock shear zone is exposed along Highway 69 near Mayer. By the way, that's the old Mayer smelter stack north of the road cut. Let's check out these areas. Viewed to the west from Sunset Point along I-17, the Bradshaw Mountains are mostly a north-south trending mountain range in central Arizona. These mountains are composed largely of Paleoproterozoic igneous and metamorphic rocks. The southern part of the range is mostly underlain by intrusive igneous rocks, like the Crazy Basin quartz monzonite, a large 1,700 million-year-old granitic pluton. Metamorphic rocks are more abundant in the northern Bradshaws and in the lower eastern foothills. Various metamorphic formations are also exposed along the north-trending Shylock shear zone. The Crazy Basin area is the boundary between the massive granite pluton to the south and the metavolcanic and metasedimentary rocks to the north. An important Precambrian structural feature is located in central Arizona, and it's the Shylock Fault Zone, otherwise known as the Shylock Shear Zone or Shylock Zone of High Strain. It's an important north-south trending Paleoproterozoic shear zone. It juxtaposes various igneous and metamorphic rock types. The Shylock occupies the lowlands to the east of the southern Bradshaw Mountains in the Black Canyon area. It continues past Bumblebee, north towards Mare, where it's sometimes covered by younger volcanics and sediments. North of Mare, it continues towards the Black Hills, where it's eventually covered for good. Paleoproterozoic metamorphic rocks, roughly 1750 to 1740 million years old, form much of the steep-walled inner gorge of the Grand Canyon. At left is a view from a river camp in the metamorphic rocks above Zoroaster Rapids. The Brahma schist is exposed along lower Clear Creek just upstream, and that's what it looks like at right. Let's check out these areas. This stretch of the inner gorge in the Grand Canyon, between Clear Creek and Zoroaster Canyon, includes excellent exposures of high-grade Paleoproterozoic metamorphic rocks. These include the 1750 to 1740 Ma Brahma, Rama, and Vishnu schists and gneisses. These foliated metamorphic rocks form fins that guard the entrance to Clear Creek. These rocks continue downstream to Zoroaster Canyon. Metamorphic rocks are also common in New England, from New York City all the way up through Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and into Canada. That's what a typical exposure looks like at Wright, New England in winter with lots of snow. Mount Monadnock is a prominent mountain in southern New Hampshire, rising roughly 2,000 feet above the surrounding area. The name Monadnock is of Algonquian Indian origin and means mountain that stands alone. Thus the term Monadnock means isolated bedrock mountain and can also be called an Inselberg or island mountain. The summit area is bare due to fire, exposing 400-million-year-old mica schists, quartz mica schists, sillimanite schists, and quartzites of the Devonian Littleton Formation. And the mountain is part of an overturned syncline formed during the Middle to Late Devonian Acadian orogeny. The Alps in Europe are famous for their metamorphic rock exposures. There are many iconic mountain ranges, mountain peaks, and landscapes with some serious metamorphic geology. The Matterhorn, or Peak of the Meadows, is an iconic mountain in the Alps, straddling the border between Switzerland and Italy. The Swiss town of Zermatt is a famed mountaineering and ski resort. Recent glaciation has formed the mountain's iconic shape. Glacial features include a U-shaped valley filled with glacial till, including ground moraine and lateral moraines. The Matterhorn's glacier clings to the north slopes and includes abundant crevasses. And another glacier occupies the cirque to the east. The Zermatt ascent route follows the knife-edged western ridge called an arête. The geology in the south face of the Matterhorn is well exposed, with folded gneissic granitic rocks of Permian age forming the top part of the mountain, with a relatively thin mylonite zone and then Permian gabbros below. The Paleozoic gneissic rocks of the Matterhorn are part of a large fold nap, thrust over Mesozoic rocks during the Cenozoic alpine orogeny. The peak itself is a glacial horn, and its four-faceted cliffs face the four compass directions. The Matterhorn has an elevation of 14,692 feet, whereas the town of Zermatt has an elevation of 5,276 feet, over 9,000 feet below. Well, that's all for now. Till next time.